Hello and welcome to the A side. It's Friday. We made it. Huzzah! Of course, this weekend we are treated, I guess you could say, with the BMF title fight between Diaz and Masvidal, which I'll come to in a bit. I actually really like this card. I think it's a fairly loaded card. You have quite a few fighters that are kind of in the crossroads of how you're doing. So we're going to talk. I'm going to give you a breakdown of three MMA fights and then we'll kind of hit a couple of NFL games so I get my five for the week. I am sorry, technical difficulties and life kind of got in the way last week, but we will, I guess you could say, probably a good thing because in the series I'm 9-1. Last week I didn't do quite as well. Maybe I'll talk about that, but I actually did pick Mir, a couple other fighters I didn't quite get so well. And we won't talk about the Niners versus the Panthers. So, yeah, we're going to skip that. But back to our UFC fight that I do want to talk about this week. First one that I'm really interested in is Vicente Luque versus Stephen Thompson. Thompson was on one heck of a roll, and then he basically fell off a cliff. It's like I almost wonder if somebody figured him out. And it's almost, not to draw too many comparisons to the NFL, but it's almost like they were tape on him. And then all of a sudden, everybody kind of, this is how you beat this guy. Vicente, I don't think he's a world beater. I think he's a very good fighter. But this is one of those things where if Stephen Thompson loses this fight, he's going to be going to Bellator fairly quickly. He has to win this fight. Vicente's got a very good ground game. He's very good at submissions. He's not, I don't think he has a lot of power in his hands, to be quite honest with you. I think he's definitely a grappler type guy. I think this really comes down to how well Stephen Thompson is able to sprawl. If he's able to sprawl, if he's able to keep it on his feet, if he's able to test the gas tank of Luque, I think he can win this fight. My problem is, I wonder how he's going to be once he gets hit, once he gets put on his back and beat on for a bit. I don't think this is going to be a quick fight, just because it always takes him a round or two to really kind of get his game plan involved. He's never, unless he just happens to get really lucky with somebody, he's never somebody that's going to just come out and just beat on somebody. Uh, he always has to, he spends a lot of time having to set up each and everything he can do. And I think that's going to lead him into a problem. I'm going to take him by decision just because I think the UFC wants him to win. I think the UFC thinks he can still be a viable challenger. So I think it's going to be a fairly unimpressive decision win, probably 4 rounds to 1, just because I don't think Luque is going to be able to chase him for 15 minutes. So I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get a little frustrated. I think he's going to get overextend himself a bit. That's going to leave him open for a few shots that he normally shouldn't take. I could definitely see Luque winning by submission, but I think it's going to be a fairly unimpressive 29-28, 29-28, 30-27 win for Wonderboy Thompson. I don't think that's really going to be the kind of fight he wants, but he's going to pick up a win and be happy with it. Next up, we're looking at Darren Till versus Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum, I wish he could stay at 170. He is a very good welterweight. He is a so-so middleweight. I find that to be a big problem for him. I don't know if it's his camp. I don't know if it's his mindset. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he always bounces around, that one fight away from a title shot, that two fights away from the title shot. And then he decides that for some reason he can't do something well. Once again, we've got a fighter that's coming on it's a two-fight losing streak. It's his first two losses of his career. Darren Till is a very good fighter. It's not like he lost to any, he lost to Jorge Masvidal and Tyron Woodley. It's not like he's lost to two, jabronis, I guess you could say. Does have a win over Stephen Thompson, by the way. He's got a very good chin. He's got very good power. He's got a very good grappling game. He's got a pretty good sprawl. He's got a very good gas tank. Kelvin, if I knew that tip-top shape Kelvin, focus Kelvin, killer Kelvin was showing up, I think he can win this fight. I just don't know. 90% Kelvin loses this fight. 80% Kelvin gets knocked out in this fight. Kelvin has a extremely good chin. He's got very good punching power. He's got he's got an extremely good gas tank, pretty much no matter what weight he fights at. My problem with him always seems to be between his ears. How's he going to show up? What kind of preparations he's going to do? Is he going to stick to a game plan? I got to think he's got a game plan. Of course, everybody's got a game plan before he gets hit. But he always makes one or two mental mistakes during a fight, and that's when he loses. There was no reason for him to lose to, some of these fighters that he's lost to. There's no, whether he's smelling his own oats or what. But again, 100% Kelvin, I think is a very good fight. I think it's a fight of the night caliber, and I think he knocks him. I think he knocks Till out just because it can happen. Because if he's able to set up his shots, I think he's got more power. Problem is am I 100% sure I get 100% Kelvin? No, I'm not. I'm taking Till. I'm taking him probably stoppage, probably a TKO, probably either late in the second, early in the third, where Kelvin's reaching for him. I don't think this could very easily go to a scorecards. Love to see this as a 5-round fight, but I'm gonna take Darren Till. I'm not happy about it. I love Kelvin as a fighter. I wish he'd get his act together, but I get the feeling he's going to end up like Robbie Lawler. He may go somewhere else for a couple fights, come back and just dominate everybody, just because he's going to get his act together. Our main event fight, we've got Masvidal versus Diaz. I am not a Diaz fan. Never have been. Never will be. The way they act around each other, the way they act, I see the attraction. I see why they get it. They're pro wrestlers that do MMA. I think Diaz, he may actually be better than his brother, to be quite honest with you, because I think he's more focused in the cage. I think he makes less mistakes. My problem with Masvidal is I don't know if he seems to come and go. He seems to have a lot of flashes. In my opinion, he's very inconsistent fight to fight, round to round, minute to minute, maneuver by maneuver. He could definitely be a world beater. Let's not get that twisted. But can he do it for 25 minutes? Because I have a real hard time seeing him stopping Diaz unless he's able to catch him in the ground. Nate Diaz does not lose many fights. He loses fights he shouldn't. He loses fights that he should easily win, but he doesn't lose fights because somebody's beat him. He loses fights by scorecard. It's one of those classic he ran out of time type fights. I mean, he's only been stopped twice, and he's lost 11 times. That says a lot. He's got a gas tank that won't stop. He's got a chin that doesn't stop. He's going to keep doing everything he wants to do. He's going to try to drag you into his fight. And I don't know if Masvidal is smart enough to really stay out of that, because Gamebred also is in the same boat. He doesn't get knocked out. He doesn't get stopped. A lot of times he runs out of time as well. He's got 13 losses as well. 10 of those are by decisions. So you're looking at combined two fighters that have a ton of losses on their records that are all by scorecards. Masvidal, in my opinion, though, a lot of his decision losses are kind of his fault, where somebody in his corners told him, "You got this. Just survive the next round. You're up 2-0. You'll be okay." And he doesn't do enough in the fifth round to take it, and he kind of coasts. And you can't coast against a Diaz brother. That's stupid, because he's going to hit you just as much in the fifth round as he is in the first round. And I think that's why I'm going to take Nate Diaz. Write this down. I don't pick Diaz often. I really don't, especially in main or co-main events. It would be really interesting if Diaz is on the undercard. I think he's the most dangerous man on the planet. either one of them. When they're on the third, fourth spot on a pay-per-view, they are exceedingly dangerous. When they're on the main event, I think they lose a bit. I don't know if it's the caliber of fighters that they're fighting. I know it's definitely not the time limit, but there's something there that just doesn't go right. And it may just, and like I said, it may come down simply as the caliber of fighter. If Kelvin versus Till was the main event, this was the co-main, I'd be much more confident in Diaz. If this was the third fight and we had like a Woodley fight on top, I would be ever so confident. I'd probably open up a gambling account just to bet on Diaz. But I'm taking Diaz here. Again, not thrilled with it. I think he takes it by decision. I don't think he can stop Gamebred. Just because I think he's going to be overly cautious to not get caught up too much. I think he's going to get beat up a good bit. I think both of these fighters are going to look a lot worse for wear than they should be, just because I don't think Diaz has got the overall power to stop Masvidal, but I think he's going to beat him up enough where he's going to take the decision. And I'm talking like possibly take all 5 rounds, just because I think Masvidal is going to try to stay away from him once he gets slapped the 8th or 9th time. I think he's going to be tired of it. I don't expect a whole lot of ground game on it until maybe halfway through the fight when Masvidal starts to get a little scary. And I think by that time Diaz is going to be warmed up enough where he's not even going to want to care about going to the ground. I think he's going to want to keep him on his feet. I think he's going to want to beat him around. I think he's going to try to use this to try to get another counter fight, or possibly even move up a bit. I would love to see him fight either one of Till or Thompson, to be quite honest with you. But that's my picks for that fight. And I'll come back here. We'll talk a little NFL. All right. And first game I want to talk about is, believe it or not, 2 8 teams go at it. If the playoffs started today, these would be our 2 8 seeds. We're talking Carolina Panthers versus Tennessee Titans. Now, yes, I'm kind of doubling down on my Panthers pick. I'm not going to lie. But keep in mind, they've only allowed 184 points, and 51 of those was last week. So I still find them to be a very good team. Excuse me. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they react after that first beatdown of the season, especially since they know Cam Newton's going to be out a couple more weeks than expected. He's supposed to go to a foot specialist. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they react, because I think if Tennessee blows them out or Tennessee beats them convincingly, I think this could very well pretty much end the season for Carolina, even though we're barely halfway done. Because remember last year, they went into Pittsburgh at 6-2 and looked fairly good. Pittsburgh beat the snot out of them. Then they were toast. I'm hoping we don't get the same thing again from another AFC team. But Tennessee, however, has a very good defense. They've got a very good running game, which is basically what undid the Panthers last week, which I didn't expect. But the good thing about them is, from a Carolina perspective, is they don't have a very good quarterback, no matter who's behind there. I think Mariotta's more dangerous, but he's also more inconsistent, which seems to be a theme for this week. But I will take Carolina. I think they beat them fairly handily. I don't think it's going to be. I think that bend but don't break mentality is going to kind of really start to hurt the Tennessee Titans. So I am taking Carolina. The other big game that I really like is the Ravens versus the Pats. The Ravens have a very good defense. They have very good special teams. They have a very good offense. And again, I am duly noted to mention that I thought Lamar Jackson was going to be a very good quarterback. So I think that's going to be really interesting because, again, I think this is the best defense the Patriots have seen all season. I think this is the best quarterback they've seen all season. So I think that's going to make it very interesting to see just how good this Patriots defense is. Yes, they are historically good, but they also haven't really been tested, in my own personal opinion. I think they've kind of got a bit lucky at stretches, but unlike a lot of teams, they take advantage of every opportunity they've gotten. They very well could have lost that Bills game. They very well could have lost that Jets game the way they were playing, but things happen to go their way, and that's always been kind of the Patriots' strengths is when a team gives them opportunities, they take it and they don't let it go. The thing I do like most about the Patriots is that next man up thing that they come up with. It's somebody gets hurt, they bring in somebody. I think this new trade, I think, is going to be really interesting for them. So I don't think they're really going to miss Julian Edelman, even if he doesn't play. But it's can they control the clock with that running game? That I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Sonny Michel's really good, but I don't know if he can really control the clock, especially as good as that Ravens defense is going to be. Larger problem, I think that the Ravens are a bit dinged up, but they really can't. They don't have the depth the Patriots do, and I don't think they have the coaching that the Patriots do, to be quite honest with you. But I do like this to be a close game. The Ravens are at home. They've got all the advantages as far as, unlike a lot of times when the Patriots come to town, the Ravens have a very good fan base. When you play at the Ravens, it is a true away game. It's not like playing the Chargers by any stretch of imagination. So, all that being said, even though a lot of people are picking the Ravens to catch the Patriots, I don't think so. I think the Patriots take it. I'm not sure it's really even going to be that close, to be quite honest with you, just because I think it's going to kind of worry them once they kind of get punched in the face twice. I don't think, I think, uh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I think Lamar Jackson's going to get a little rattled. I think he's going to try to do too much. A lot like our Panthers versus Niners game, he's going to try to force a few throws he shouldn't instead of taking what he's given. Sometimes when you're facing New England, when it's 3rd and 7, you take the 5-yard pass. You hope your receiver can create the extra 2 yards. If not, you punt him, you get him next time. Sometimes you just have to do that with the Patriots. You can't expect to drop 40 points on them. So I'm taking the Patriots, taking the Panthers. So that's my 2 NFL picks. No, I'm not going to give you any NCAA picks next week. We have LSU versus Alabama, so look forward to that. I think that's going to be kind of interesting. Another game that I am really interested in is the Texans versus the Jaguars. I'm not going to make it one of my big 5, but I am taking Houston just because I think the bloom's kind of off the Jacksonville rose a little bit. Leonard Fournette's just not going anywhere, to tell you the truth. I don't know what's going on with them. And I think the loss of Jalen Ramsey is really going to hurt the confidence of that defense. So taking Houston in that, again, doesn't count as my 5, but if I win it, I may want to count it anyway. But thank you for watching. I will see you next Wednesday when we do part 2 of the zombie series. And y'all have a great day. Bye.